Councilwoman Selby,
Present.
Councilman Cardini,
Present.
Supervisor Keating,
Present.
Councilwoman Lukacek,
Present.
Councilwoman Martin.
Present.
Councilwoman Martin, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I
Pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So tonight we don't have any other preliminary matters, so we'll move right on to our regular business. Item number one under the regular business is the correction and adoption of the minutes from the April 21st, 2021 town board meeting. And Councilwoman Lukacek, would you mind taking that item tonight?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor Keating. I've had a chance to review the minutes from April 21st, 2021, and I found no edits required. I make a motion we approve the minutes from April 21st, 2021.
I'll second.
Councilwoman Selby,
Yes.
Councilman Cardini,
Yes.
Supervisor Keating,
Yes.
Councilwoman Lukacek,
Yes.
Councilwoman Martin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, item number two under regular business is the consideration of all fund bills. Councilman Cardini.
Thank you, Supervisor Keating. I had the opportunity to audit the fund bills, and I make a motion that we pay them in the amount of $34,439.01.
Second.
Councilwoman Selby,
Yes.
Councilman Cardini,
Yes.
Supervisor Keating,
Yes.
Councilwoman Lukacek,
Yes.
Councilwoman Martin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, moving right along. Item number three tonight, we have two pieces of items for correspondence. The first one is the Erie County Sewer District Number 3 draft for the April ordinance and presentation. I'd ask the town clerk to put this in here. There's actually some pretty big renovations and upgrades happening in the Erie County Sewer District. It's one of the other additional boards that I sit on. But there, is this available? Will be on, it is on the town website. Maybe you can kind of give you an idea of some of the renovations going on at the sewer district. Second item is the town's annual update document, sometimes referred to by the town board as the AUD. That's for the fiscal year, which ends on December 31st, 2020. That's been received and filed, and a copy of that will also be out on the town website. And that's all we have for correspondence. Item number 4 is new business. We have a big group of people tonight, so without further ado, item number 1 is all the requests. Each person can come up to the microphone. Is that microphone on, Sandy? Yes, okay. Yeah, please go up to the microphone, state your name, your address, and each individual has 3 minutes.
Good evening, town board members, supervisor,
Hello, sir.
highway superintendent. Tracy Hirsch, 8191 Cole Road. And we are here to discuss a proposed senior housing project at the corner of Hickory Meadows. So I've asked Jay to speak a little bit about it and any of the residents, whatever opinions they might have, like Tim and anybody else.
Thanks for Jay. I'm sure. My name is Jay Pullman. I'm an attorney in Hamburg. My office is at 3990 McKinley Parkway in Blaisdell, right by the old McKinley Inn. Mr. Hirsch invited me here today because for 43 years I've been representing planning boards and a lot of developers, mostly seeking to go the opposite direction, to take a piece of zoned property and make it residential to commercial, or more commercial, as they say. I'm here kind of with the opposite request today, to take 9009, a 2.5 acre vacant parcel right by Hickory Woods, other side of the street from the post office, Hickory Woods subdivision in the back, and a number of vacant commercial lots running toward the town hall from that direction. It's got about 360 feet of frontage, and it would support a very small commercial development. In Boston, you have a zoning map that you you comprehensively put together and took a lot of the smaller maps. And it ends up, when you look at it as a whole, that the commercial zoning is really linear. It follows 391 very easily. And it's chopped up because you can't really put a large commercial development there, because by the time you had the footprint of the building and the parking and the setbacks, you chew up the whole lot, and the lots aren't big enough. On top of that, Boston is a third-ring community. People come here because they want to live where 7,900 people live, where there's 2,800 households, and they wish to have the open space and all that Boston has to offer. If I could get out of Orchard Park, I'd come to Boston. But it doesn't lend itself to a lot of commercial development because there aren't the rooftops and the dollars and the traffic to support retail operations. As I drove up and down the street, or rode my bike up and down, which I do often, you can see the number of properties that are vacant where folks in the past have tried to do something along those lines. If I might approach, I'd like to offer a couple zoning maps just so you could follow along. And it gives you a good idea of what the zoning is and specifically where this particular piece of property is. Hang on a second. Too much material. May I approach?
Yes.
Thank you.
You see the pink and the blue areas, you follow along at the bottom as to the commercial designation. And it usually runs from C1, which is the least intrusive, closest usually to residential. I've marked the site on all the ones I handed to the town board. I don't know how I got you one without here. I marked the post office just to help orient you as well. And so what's happened over the years is folks have come in and they've put in their professional offices, or they put in their insurance office, or we had Wertz Funeral Home. And there's been a lot of development between the Patchogue Fire Hall and the Boston Hotel. But to be honest, it really hasn't been very successful. And we've ended up with quite a number of pieces of property for lease or for sale, or that are kind of abandoned at this point. I brought along a couple sets of pictures. Just, I don't know why I'm showing you your own community, but I'm doing that just because I don't live here. You guys see it every day, I don't. But I wanted you to take a look at it and just kind of remind yourself what's going on from the post office on down. Start one on this end. They're both the same kind of sets of photos. I didn't take a few of them. I didn't take Wertz Funeral Home. Everybody knows where that was. But the fact remains that there's a lot of available C1 property that could be redeveloped, or there are vacant lots that are still existing along 391 that haven't been developed and won't be developed because of those issues with the amount of folks it takes to support those kinds of operations. You have wonderful doctors, you have insurance offices, you have Rucker, Three Girls Cafe, the gas station with the convenience store, things like that. But there's really no other retail development. I looked at what happened in the past on this property, and Mr. Hirsch brought it to you. You asked the planning board for a recommendation. They weren't really comfortable doing that without a comprehensive plan, so they kind of kicked it back to you. It's kind of even hard to determine what their recommendation really was, but I don't think they wanted to issue a recommendation one way or the other. Mr. Hirsch would put up a building that would have 8 residential units in. It's his plan to rent those out, be a little over 11,000 square feet, all in one rectangular building, and would have one outbuilding that would be a enlarged garage to serve as the home for the lawnmower, and hopefully, if we can work it out correctly, the dumpster, so that there be no outside dumpster or issues with neighbors or varmints or anything else that would run the thing. The fact is, people want to stay in Boston. There's not a lot of residential real estate available right now. If you look, especially those folks who are new to the area without kids, or those folks who have raised their children here and have the 4-bedroom, and it's time for them to downsize. So I'd really like you to consider allowing or giving us the opportunity to move forward with the rezoning application and take it from what is a piece of property that presently pays $478 in town county taxes annually to something that would provide a benefit to the town. And for those of you who have seen Mr. Hirsch's other developments, I'm sure it'd be something you'd be proud of. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Anyone have any questions though?
I can speak for, as the liaison to the planning board, they were intending on the cost to the community, the cost to the town, changing and rezoning that particular parcel. So I would go back to you and say, as the changing of the guard, so to say, what would you propose that would be the charge to the residents? How would you change that if, to the better, of course, what's the cost?
Well, it's going to pay its fair share, right, in permit fees, and it'll be assessed for the total valuation that the assessor feels that building is worth, and it'll go on the tax rolls. Vacant land is hardly assessed at all. It'll go on the tax rolls for whatever the assessor thinks, or he is presented with the cost of the construction once he sees the building permit. That's how it usually works.
So if I can speak for the town board, those are the questions we would be asking in writing, and I can help them formulate more specifically.
Okay. We can present that as we go forward. I don't know the cost. I only know generally what per square foot is. I can tell you it's fairly high end. I can show you some photos that Mr. Hirsch provided me. And this is a Amherst development that it's going to be modeled after. Some people call them zero lot lines, some people call them patio homes.
Patio homes,
You can call, it depends who the developer is or who the town
similar to.
planning folks are. But that's something we certainly can present as part of the application moving forward. And of course, the planning board gets to kick it around and take a look at the site plan and everything that would go with that.
So is this a rental property or
Yes.
is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
there'd be 8 units and they'd be rented out.
Okay, any other questions? 'Cause I know we've gone over our 3 minutes, I know there's a couple of questions, dialogue going back and forth, and I know that people have come in to speak on regarding, this proposal, so. Any questions from the board? All right, thank you very much, appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, no, pictures are right here.
What's that? Sure. I'll show you pictures of what your own town looks like, but.
For the information. All right, Jake, a couple minutes, don't want to rush him. Whoever else would like to speak, feel free to, kind of space yourself just a little behind it. Jake, still in the world of our crazy COVID pandemic.
I'll go over here in case I need to answer anything for you after the questions.
Wayne Hammond, live on 7331 Chestnut Ridge Road. Getting a little concerned on what's going on up on Hillcrest. Last few days, we've been seeing multiple tandems, multiple triaxle dump trucks. It's been going on for over 5 years. And this guy up there is leaving a mess. The roads are undrivable now, almost. If you want to look at my truck out front, one day, the thing looked like I was out mudding in a swamp. And this is on the road. And this goes on, this has been going on for quite a while. And it's getting ridiculous. In summertime, we suck dust from this guy. He isn't set up to do anything like this. I've done construction for over 40 years. If we ever ran a job like this, we would have been thrown out, fined at DEC hundreds of thousands of dollars. He's got dust flying, he has equipment running, he has trucks coming down the roads. The roads now, they're at the point, these are 4-ton roads, and you're putting triaxles on it. It's insane. Okay, I know Chestnut Ridge is a county road. Hillcrest is a town road. And the residents there, all of us, we've about had enough. And I understand, everybody moved to Boston. I lived here 66 years. And the reason we stay in Boston is because we have a hunk of property, we own it, we can do things on our property. Okay, we don't get hassled by a lot of things. But 5 years, it took 3 years to build the trade centers. What's going on? We have no answers, we don't hear nothing from anybody, we get no writing. Is this guy getting inspections? The fill coming in, is anybody checking it for quality on the fill? Where's he getting it from? Is he gonna create a love canal up here with this thing, doing 20-foot fills? I mean, come on. When we get a heavy rain, this thing's gonna blow. And when it does, everybody in the bottom here is gonna see this mud. And it's gonna be a mess. And something has to get done. Either, give this guy a time frame, get his project done, but this playing around 5 years, no. I want my life back. I want to be able to sit on my back deck and enjoy my time frame with my wife without listening to him with his equipment running all day long. And I know there's time slots. You can run your equipment. Okay, I understand. But like I said, I've done construction for 40 years.
Talking about Hillcrest, right?
I'm talking Hillcrest. I've done construction for 40 years. And you know what, there comes a time when you have to think about your next door neighbor.
8K Interstate 90?
And I'm telling you right now, this guy doesn't care. He's only about himself. And like I said, I know there's a lot of people here that are behind me on this. And like I said, I've had enough. I'd like answers on what's going on. And I would like to know, like I said, there's a lot of things. There's no engineering on this. He's just bringing fill in, okay? And I understand it's private property, but even with this, with the amount of fill going on and the depths of fill, you just don't put dirt on top of the ground and expect it to stay. There has to be some form of engineering on it. Otherwise, this thing's gonna slide. It already slid once on him, 2 years ago. He lost it up there. And now he's redoing it again, and we can't have that. Like I said, the people down below, anybody on them ravines down there, it's a feeder to the 18-mile creek, and that isn't a good thing to have any kind of dirt he wants, wherever he's getting it from, we don't know. We got Pariso trucks hauling in, you got Pace trucks hauling in, you got multiple trucks hauling in. And we don't know where that's coming out of. You dig if somebody's reclaiming a sewer, redoing the sewer, are they bringing all the storage up with the truck in the dirt? Because this is an easy way to get rid of it. And then 15, 20 years down the road, somebody comes in and they can't build because there's contamination down below this. We gotta think a little bit in the town. Like I said, I've never had complaints with this town. Like I said, 66 years. I don't complain about the town. I like it. Everybody does things around here and it's great, but this 5 years, 5+ years, I'll go. It's been more than 5+ years of daily trucking. And the worst of it is the roads are not clean. That's the biggest beef I got right now. And you know what, if he can afford to have all these trucks coming up there, then he can afford to go and get a truck or get a water truck, wash the roads down, or get a hold of a skid steer and go out and broom the roads at the end of the day. That's what we had to do in construction. And it wasn't just once a day, we'd have to do it 10, 15 times a day, just to make sure that the neighbors were happy. And I don't want to see this stuff pushed to the side of the road into somebody's lawn. That isn't fair. So like I said, I mean, there's just, you know, in my opinion, I mean, the town has to go up there and really look this thing over. And we need answers when this guy is gonna finish. Okay? I mean, if you have questions for me, I'm all for it. If you wanna talk to me more, I'm all for it. I'm nervous as heck right now. I've never, in 60 years, I've never had to do a damn thing like this in my life.
Yeah,
And
fine.
I'm nervous about it, you
I
know?
appreciate you bringing it to our attention, truly.
Yeah.
We've had people, and I know Councilwoman Martin, a couple of others have had phone calls on this. I've spoken to residents regarding this matter, so we're looking into it. We are going to look at even our permit process. I can tell you that if you look back, and it's a foilable document, I
Yeah.
have shared it, it's a public record. We approved it, Bill. So those are the things that we need.
Like I said, if you, you know, but if anything, this guy should, you know, when we open up ground on the project, it's a requirement by the DEC to put silt fence around, okay?
Right.
It's also a requirement to put gate valves in the ditch lines or silt fence in the ditch lines. There is none. And stuff like that, that stuff, that's where the problems, when you get away with little things, you're gonna get away with big things. And, you know, I'm not against improvements. He's taking a hill and he's making it flat. He's making it Chickawaga, if you wanna say that. That's what he's doing. You know, 20 acres, he's gonna level it out, make it perfectly flat. What's going in? Galleria Mall? You know, I mean, come on. You know, we gotta, when you live in Boston, you accept the hills. This is what Mother Nature put here. So accept them. And if you got a hunk of property, if you don't like hills, go look for a piece of flat land. Come in the valley and buy a piece. So, you know, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. And,
Thank you.
you know,
We will certainly look into this.
my definite concern on it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank you.
bringing it up.
Looks like you're next. You have the floor.
Greg Hemans, 6550 Hillcrest, and I too am a victim of this for 5 years, constantly. 2 trucks every half an hour. Sometimes it's more than that. It's constant all day, every day. There's kids on the street now. Didn't used to be for a long time. This is just a disaster waiting to happen. What is he trying to build down there? It's a private road owned by another resident down there. It's landlocked. He wants to build this big housing development, which can't be. There's no way to access it legally. It just makes no sense to me. I've never complained about anything in my life either. I've had it. I'm sick of the trucks and the dust and the mud. If it's sunny out, it's a dust bowl. If it's raining out, it's a mud pit. I can't take it anymore. This guy has got to stop.
Thank you.
Sir, I didn't catch your name.
Sir, can you repeat your name, please?
Greg Hemans, 6550 Hillcrest.
Thank you.
Hi, Sarah Johnston, 6514 Hillcrest. You know, I spoke with Mike on the phone. I've had a couple conversations with Kelly, and she was gracious enough to actually come out and look at our street. In addition to all of the complaints that Wayne has, I want to start a narrative that is further than that. He's been issued a fill permit, that I know, just based on my conversation. I would like to consider revoking it. I mean, I texted Kelly yesterday. We had 50 trucks before noon. 50. You're talking heavy commercial activity on a residential street. I mean, my concerns go from community impact, environmental, to infrastructure. The roads, they're not meant to carry the weight of all this commercial vehicles. You know, I don't think that the fill permits were designed for this. In addition to that, you know, my questions are, what does he have to provide when he is applying for the fill permit? Like, is he providing you just satellite images of the property? Does he have to provide a basis, a justification for why he wants all the fill? You know, I mean, we're talking, I cannot tell you the magnitude. We moved in 2014. This has been going on since we moved in and prior to that. Think of that, 100, I mean, we've had 100 trucks one day, just one day. Think of all the fill, the tons and tons and tons of dirt that are being dumped on that property. Eventually, it's gonna go somewhere. Has an engineer been out there to see if what he is doing is even properly done? I can tell you it's not. I mean, he's grading the property himself. So we listen to trucks from 7:30 in the morning, well through dinner, and then he's out there on all of his construction equipment until dark. You know, it's like, over the weekend, we had a wheelbarrow full of dirt that fell into the middle of the street. One of my neighbors brought his ATV with the wheelbarrow attached to the back, and we were scraping mud off the road because you couldn't even drive on it. And that's just the community impact. There are 11 children, 16 and under, that live on our street. These trucks, they operate with complete disregard for animals. There's 6 dogs too, and children. Eventually, someone's gonna get hurt. You know, and then you look at the environmental impact. What happens when this dirt slides? You know, there's a creek that runs through the back of all of our property. Someone on the opposite street got in trouble with the DEC because he was filling in the ravine. What happens when this dirt that's not properly been graded with, you know, and Kelly expressed her concerns with the slide in the land. What happens when all that dirt slides? What residents are gonna be affected by that? Who's gonna get hurt by that? And what's the environmental impact of that? You know, and beyond the concerns and the complaining, you know, when we're applying for the fill permits, is there a building permit required? Because I thought originally that he had a permit. He does not. So why is he allowed to bring in all this fill if he doesn't even have a plan? You know, it's basically just a pipe dream. You know, as previously stated, he can't run utilities to that property without cutting through someone else's. And no one is giving him rights. So, I mean, it's just kind of seems like it's all for naught, so to speak. And that was, you know, I won't go because I know there's a lot of other people that came to speak too, but those were just, you know, my concerns and to kind of put a face to the person that's calling and leaving me voicemails.
No, thank you for coming in. One thing when we spoke, I misspoke on something and I wanted to clarify that with you. I thought that we had to publish that and we did not. So we did not publish that there was an application for a fill permit.
Okay.
So I wanted to clarify that and be honest with you on that.
Oh, okay, well, thank you. I
So,
mean,
but thank you.
I wouldn't have known anyway, because, I mean, we don't get the papers, so.
Okay, I knew, so.
Well, thank you very much for clarifying.
No problem. Thank you.
Good day, how are you all? My name is Daryl. I live at 6563 Hillcrest at the dead end, where all the trucks make the right-hand turn and pass my property. For the last 5 years, our road has been a mud hole, continuously. For the last 5 years, all the windows on the west elevation of my house and the south elevation of my house cannot be opened during summer because of all the truck traffic and all the dust that blows through. I'm tired of all the mud. I'm tired of every day coming home from work and I hear the Jake brake. They don't want to touch the brakes, that costs money. Pull on down, I hear boom, boom, boom of the door slamming, then I hear a bulldozer, beep, beep, beep. From 7 in the morning till 8 o'clock at night. I don't know what he's doing down there, I don't really care. I'm worried about, the stream behind me is a feeder creek to 18 Mile Creek. Okay, so where the soil is coming from, I know it's not being vibed, I know it's not being compressed. I work for the state of New York. So when you do a fill, every 6 inches gets bypassed, it gets checked for compression before you go to your next tier. That ain't happening. Okay? My wife is tired of the mud, I'm tired of cleaning my truck every day. So I'm up there last week with Sarah's husband Mike. I am cleaning the street with a shovel, my ATV and my cart, scooping off between grapefruit side and football side chunks of mud up and down the road. This has been going on for years. I mean, I get it. People don't want to build and beautify things, whatever. I'm done with it. Okay? So the bottom line where I'm coming from is, if it's not going to get fixed, I'm going to hire an attorney. My sister-in-law is an attorney. I'm going to talk to attorneys. They owe me favors. I will talk to DEC. I'll do water samples. I'm done. I'm done. I cannot open my windows all summer long. Everybody knows that on the street. It's been going on for years. Okay? So we're done. I mean, I get it. You got to build something, but I'm done. I'm sorry to start raising my voice, but I'm
No apologies needed.
we're so aggravated. I mean, I know Ken, he works night shifts. So he comes home, he's asleep during the day. He ain't sleeping. Because what he doesn't want to use a regular brake brakes, he hits a Jake brake to slow the truck down. Well, what time you hear a dad go down in the banging a dozer, I mean, so my retribution is, I know people that do entertainment. So when he's all said and done doing all the pristine things, I'm going to park a shitload of amps, and I'm going to play the same shit back to him. Thank you very much.
Hey, Daryl, if I may ask, what's your last name, Daryl?
Opiella.
I'm sorry, what was it?
Opiella.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, I'm done with it. I'll now bend me here on the back.
Number call 6553 Hillcrest Drive. Same problem as all these guys are having. I'm sick of the dirt on the road. I'm sick of the noise. 7:30 in the morning till it gets dark. I got 3 kids. I have a dog. It's a dead-end road, so you have to walk the kids up the road. And sometimes it looks like these dump trucks are qualifying because they're driving as fast as they can up the road and slamming on the brakes when they come down. I can't open up my windows. And like Daryl said, I work nights, so I gotta try and jam some sleep in during the day, and that's not happening when you're hearing construction equipment and these trucks going up and down the hill. So, just for consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, I'm Gloria Hemans. The house that I have is 6565 Hillcrest, right next door to all this mess. I can't even go into my house down there to have the repairs done because we can't get down the road. So I've been staying at my mother-in-law's house at 6550. Sometimes they block the driveway. I cannot get in or out of the house. There's dogs in that neighborhood. I'm more concerned about the little kids. These guys don't give a crap about the kids. There's dust all over the place. I have 5 air purifiers, 5 of them going morning, noon, and night. And the filters have to be changed every other day. This is getting ridiculous. He's angry because my mother-in-law would not sell him a piece of property to add to his property. He won't even deal with me because I fight him every inch of the way. But I've had it. I have so had it that I've got to have 5 air purifiers going morning, noon, and night. I just had a dog at the vet because he couldn't breathe. $1,000 for medication. Can you imagine if that was a kid? Now something's got to be done. And you're the government. You guys do something. You know, you're supposed to work for the people. We're the people. Somebody's got to do this. Okay? Are we understood?
Yep.
All right, then let's do it. Okay?
Hi,
name is Pamela Root. I live at 6550 Hillcrest. I too, like everybody else here, sick of the trucks up and down. Now, my neighbor that I don't know her name, but Sarah, you were counting how many trucks. You don't get the impact of that short street. They're like lined up, like 3 of them waiting. And there's not that much room to get down that private road, and they've gotten stuck. They blocked everybody in with into their driveways so they couldn't get out. When you walk outside, it is a cloud of dust. You don't want to, I mean, you actually do have to wear your masks when you go outside because of everything you inhale in. I do not drive. I walk to work sometimes. I have to walk that stretch. I walk on rocks in the mud. You can tell that the road is broken off. We have dogs on the street. Of course, we have a lot of children on the road now, and I fear for them because those trucks whip right by. So something does need to be done about it. I work real early. I get up early in the morning on my days off. I want to sleep in. I can't because the trucks are going back and forth, and like I said, they are backed up to go down. So I do hope you do something about it because it's not fair to all the people on the street. You gotta keep washing the cars, the house looks filthy, you can't open up the windows because you just don't wanna breathe under the sun. So I hope something does come of all of this because we're all really, really sick of it.
Thank you.
Somebody else?
Oh, what, thank you.
Hi, Joan Soterik, 6498 Hillcrest. This is one of the kids that lives on the street. I too just had my cat at the vet, $1,000, he's got asthma. You don't understand, everybody has tried to explain to you, when you're trying to reside in your house, your quality of life is nothing. Trucks from 7:30 in the morning, all day long. My car is parked right out front if you guys want to come and take a look at it. It's covered with mud. My driveway is covered with mud. I almost broke my ankle walking my dog. The rocks in the road, you can't live. How can we live under these conditions? Because of one individual that lives at the end of the street. God only knows what he's doing down there. What's in the air? What's in the soil? What are we breathing? I have COPD. My COPD medication's not even working anymore. I can't even walk upstairs because I'm out of breath all the time. My cat now, $100 a month for the medication for his asthma. All because I've been living on Hillcrest for 3.5 years. And nothing's being done about it. And I have no problem providing documentation that my cat was at the vet just diagnosed with asthma or my COPD. But she can't, I'm afraid to let her out. She's got a fliker, she's got a scooter. The kids, they can't play. How can you play? Well, when I walk her to the bus, you fear for your life because these trucks come whipping around the corner. The mud is this thick in spots on the road. It's unbelievable. Something needs to be done. And I called the code enforcer a couple of times. We'll all check into it and see. Never heard back anything. Wayne spearheaded all of us to get to you guys to see what you can do to get something to happen and have it stop. You can't sit on your front porch. You can't walk down the street. When I walk the dog, you're taking your life in your own hands. You know, and here, dogs have a mind of their own. That's all he's got to do is just pull one way and he's gone. You know, are we going to put up with this? So I'm asking you, please, please, for the safety of us, our kids, and our animals, please do something. Our property value is going, and if we try to sell, who the heck in their right mind is going to want to buy one of our houses when they come down our street and it looks like a big mud pit with tandem truck after tandem truck after tandem truck? Enough. I've had my fill too. Thank you.
Ma'am, if I can ask a real quick question. You had mentioned that you had contacted the code enforcement officer.
Yes.
If you, do you recall about what time?
Last year,
Last year.
I called them
Okay.
twice.
because we will follow up on that. Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you for telling us that.
Mhm.
Evening.
Good evening.
Ron Waite, 7287 Chestnut Ridge Road, corner of Hillcrest. I've lived there since 1961. I never dreamt that I would live next to Interstate 90. Okay, I have just, everybody's voiced their complaints. I would like to ask a couple of questions. One, do these people have a permit to dump this? Two, what are they dumping? Three, where are they dumping? Four, has the New York State environmental people checked the dump site? Because that's a drainage from the whole top of the hill down in that area. So if you could answer those questions, and all these people who have talked, send them a letter and answer those questions, I certainly would appreciate it.
Well,
Okay?
I can answer your questions right now, actually, for everybody that's here. So for the permit, yes, the town board.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you, I don't hear very well.
My apologies. Is that better? Can you hear me okay now?
Go ahead.
Okay, so for the permit, yes, the town board did approve a permit for the fill. As far as like where it's coming from, et cetera, that is not indicated on the permit. And as far as the DEC, that would be something that would be handled through either the Army Corps of Engineers or the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. It was brought to our attention through recent phone calls to other board members that, that there's potential filling of, potential tributary in that area. If that's the case, that would be something that we looked into either through the Army Corps of Engineers or the New York State DEC.
Yeah, my biggest concern really is I sit on my kitchen window, and I've retired, I'm 84 years old, and I retired 2 years ago. And I watch these little elementary kids waiting on the corner of Hillcrest to board their bus in the morning or to exit their bus in the afternoon. When the weather is bad, their parents come up the street with their cars and try to park there to pick them up, and these trucks are coming down the road. I've been timing them. There's at least one every half hour. Actually two, because there's one coming down and there's one coming back. Sometimes there's three. This is getting to be really ridiculous. I don't know what they're doing back there. I have not been able to walk back there to find out. But it's been going on, like these people say, for 5 years, and it's pretty bad. And that road wasn't built for that kind of traffic, right?
Correct.
That's correct. And that road is always covered with dirt, mud, dust. I can't open the windows on the Hillcrest side of my house in the summer because the dirt comes in my house. So that's about all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's only me again. Has anybody addressed the fact of all the animals that used to be in that creek, the coyotes? All of them. I mean, what else is out there, Al? What other kind of animals do they have there? That Al, Joe.
Oh, I have dogs, I have cats, I raise pheasants as well.
I mean,
Chicken, pig.
Chill, you have chickens, pigs.
there were coyotes. I've got coyotes on my grass in the morning. Taking the
Because
dust.
they were all
got nowhere
driven
to
from
go.
their habitat.
Yep, that's it. He
Upward.
still did all that. Foxes, you name it, it's up there. God only knows how many he killed. But I'll tell you right now, this is a whole different atmosphere. A whole different atmosphere. And somebody's got to do something about it. And that's on you guys. Because we're here tonight to tell you, this is not a way for us to live. And if you lived on Hillcrest, you'd feel the same way. But somebody ought to take a look into that wildlife that's been destroyed. And I don't even know about what do you call it, the dirt everything they put there, because there's all different colors of dirt on the road. But somebody's got to do something, they've got to do it now, before summer, when these kids are out playing, or trying to. Because you can't trust this road because of these people. And he gets away with it. We don't understand why. Somebody should give us an answer why. That's all we want, is an answer. And the second thing we want is when it's going to end. That's it. I'm not going to talk to you anymore.
I just have one final thing to say.
Sure.
The bottom line is, you see there's a lot of angry people here. What we really need to do is, we need to keep the road clean, okay? All our kids can't go out there and ride their bikes, can't walk up and down the road. We're tired of driving every day to and from work, the car is full of mud. The road needs to be cleaned, it needs to get repaired, it has to stop, but not on the taxpayer dime. You should be held accountable for this. So I know you guys in the past have fixed the road. You put asphalt down on the apron, and we destroyed it, works crumbling. You know, he didn't pay for it, he's a cheap prick, okay? No, it's the bottom line, okay? No, yeah, I know, okay? That's all we're asking. We want to know what's going on. We want to be able to have all our kids out there, be able to fall in their driveway, ride their bike in the street without falling, stop all the traffic from taking your kids up to the corner to get on the school bus, because they don't want to walk it off there. We don't want the trucks to stop. It's getting old. I mean, I get it 1 year, 2 years, not fine. I want to open my windows. Thank you very much.
Thanks again.
Well, I wasn't fast enough coming here. Is this on?
Yes.
I want to go back to our first issue here. My name is Sue Gentile. I live on Hickory Meadows Road, right next to the property that we're talking about, where they want to put the senior apartments. And as I have lived in this town and on that property for 17 years now, I haven't seen anything good being done with that property. I've seen things dumped there, but the fact that right now there's an opportunity to make it something where we would bring people in, you'd have a few more taxpayers, and make that into a better looking lot than what it is now. And it doesn't make sense to me that a business would build there, because we have too many businesses that have failed here in Boston. We have a lot of empty buildings. There's 3 right in that area. So if I was a business person, I'd have to question, you know, why? Why is that? Which just makes sense to make it residential for one main reason. First of all, if I lived in Boston, and I love Boston, I've been here for 35 years or more. That makes me 36. And I love it here, but you know, the time might come when I can't keep up my house anymore. Well, to stay in Boston, how great would it be? Here's another place I could live and stay in this area. So I'm just thinking overall, and being right next to that property, to me it makes a lot of sense. If you have somebody now willing to build something there that would make this town a whole lot more beautiful. And I'm listening to what's going on here, and more beautiful is what we need, obviously. I just want to speak on behalf of the people that are wanting to change that to a residential area. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
How you doing, folks? Good. My name's Dave Korskowski, I live at 8930 Hickory Meadows. Just want to let you guys know, talked to several of my neighbors about the project at hand. We're very excited that it could happen as opposed to it's just an empty lot, or possibly a business that we don't need on the corner of our nice development that's over there. So Tracy was nice enough to approach us with a site plan, pictures, you know, get the community involved into it. So I just want to let you know, on behalf of probably 6 people that I talked to right on Hickory Meadows, that we're in support of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Tim Kirst. I also live on Hickory Meadows, right across from Sue, who spoke earlier. Just want to say I'm in agreement with the same situation. If you drive from 219 to Hickory Meadows, I can only think of one commercial project that's gone in the last 5 years. And I think it's the Red Barn behind the old North Boston Fire Hall. There's been absolutely no commercial development. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know what the zoning board was thinking back in March when they absolutely shut me down, wouldn't let me talk to state my case, but I can't see any future commercial development being any good back there. It's a residential area. I think the tax benefits you get if you were to build a commercial building, you'd get a nice, your tax base, but it's gonna lower the 35 houses behind it and their tax values, okay? So it's probably gonna be a loss in terms of numbers, but that being said, I think Boston needs to beautify a little bit. Take a drive again, take a look at everything. There's so many abandoned, crummy looking buildings, there really is, and Tracy has a plan to make something look nice. And I think Boston needs that, so, thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, Carolyn Cebulski, 7400 Chestnut Ridge Road. We bring back to the tandem trucks. I do live on a stretch further south than the street that we're talking about, but we have to travel that road back and forth. It is true, it is a mud fest, especially even today. Just tracks of mud. Now they're heading north. There was a time that they were coming up the hill, and then when you head down the hill, you would run into the mud tracks again. But it's terrible to listen to these people, and for the length of time, I mean, we've been there. Well, so to take you back, 2009 we built. We had to get a permit from the county, which included the ability for our logger to come up the road because it was a 4-ton limit, and he was very worried about that. It had a time limit on the permit. So my question to you is there not a end-all to this, like they were questioning? When you get a permit, is there not a time frame for it to stop and/or amount of fill? Granted, it's a fill permit, but is there only so much tonnage that can be delivered per permit? And if not, that should be an avenue that would be beneficial for the whole town to look at, because then you would avoid situations like this with no end game in plan, nothing official like we heard about all the engineering that goes into these fill projects, and if there's no one there to check it. But I think it's absolutely awful for these families. And I'm at the other, across from Chestnut Lane pretty much. But sitting back here and listening, I mean, we came in support of the problem because it is a problem on the whole Chestnut Ridge section. You don't even, by the time you get to a certain time, things calm down, but then you're still looking at the road structure. Can it handle that whole, like you said, the weight of the truck, plus the weight of the fill, multiple times within hours of itself? Just doesn't seem like it makes too much sense for the ruination of the infrastructure for one gentleman's project.
Mrs. Cebulski, I have a question for you.
Yes.
What time do the trucks usually start?
I'm only aware during the daytime when I work morning, I have longer days sometimes. But on the weekends and on Fridays, when they came from the bottom of the hill, anywhere from early morning through supper time.
Second question, your son-in-law Damon used to work for me, and I just want to know if I can park in your driveway tomorrow morning and just I'd like to witness the whole thing that everybody's been talking about.
Okay,
If I
so
can
as
park
far
in
as
your
I
driveway.
know, they're coming from the north down. So
Yeah.
you would be parked at Serpentine to catch them.
Yeah, okay, so I can park
Okay.
at that corner. I figured that's probably where they're coming from because.
Because there have been other
Doesn't make
years,
sense.
like literally they come up and well, the angle, the steepness, they leave a lot here on the
Right.
curve on 391 entrance. And then just as things come up, flying off the top if it's dry. We've had, moments of just junk in the road. Dirt.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
If I may, one of the issues that we discussed tonight, early in the agenda review process that we have every meeting, was clarifying some things on the fill permit and the process for people to get that.
Okay.
So just so you're aware that, you know, that is something that we're discussing. You know,
In terms of limiting and renewal and
in terms of
how
the
they're
whole,
doing things?
the whole package.
Okay.
I think if we're gonna grant a fill permit, it should be more than the application process. It should be, what is it for, define the project, and
Right.
allow us to make an informed decision.
Right.
If I could speak on behalf of the board, I feel quite flat-footed when it comes to this issue, because you have the process, and the process has been established in this case for decades. So you have a resident who owns a parcel of private property that is going through the process of, you know, getting the fill permit, which a lot of people don't. And you look at this permit, it's filled out, it's correct, and you approve it. In this case, you know, I feel like we maybe didn't make a great decision based on the scope and the footprint
Right.
that this
So
is
he
leaving
was-
in the community.
So he wasn't actually asked, okay, so what you
It's not the process of what it is, right? And
Okay,
that's
so that's not included in one right now.
Permits valid to the end, that's right. The permit's valid to the end of the year.
Okay, so every year he got a renewal?
I'm sorry?
Every year he got a renewal?
Yes. Well,
No.
last year, or 2 years ago, that was the last permit. You just recently approved one this year.
It was recently approved, and that would go to the end of the year. I believe he was without one last year.
Right, that was 2 years
So
ago, that was the last.
what he decided to do, even if he didn't have one, I mean, it sounds like this has been going on for quite some time, so.
Yeah, so.
Right, so what in terms of fines, say they can, the people that on the street could prove he was working without a permit. What fines would, that's up to you, but what fines would he be presented with? Is it enough to stop him from continuing?
Yeah, would be up to our code enforcement officer.
$20,000, I mean,
What code,
what's
if
it
any, were,
take?
right, essentially it's depending on what codes, if any, were even broken,
Okay.
truthfully, because we don't have a code to enforce. Yeah, it gives us, it doesn't give us a lot of kind of like Councilman Cardicchini was saying, like our permit, there's a lot of lessons learned here on this. It's been going on for 5 years. You know, we're hearing about it now, so now we're kind of in reactionary mode to really
Yeah,
update
so
our permit and really do better going forward. But, you know, to answer your question, you know, any fines, things of that nature, at the town level, if there's a code that's not being violated, we don't have any, you can't really enforce something when it doesn't exist. So that's where there's the component, as I spoke earlier, where the New York State DEC, Army Corps of Engineers, you know, there's other entities we can get into. I mean, our highway superintendent has his own independent powers because he's the highway superintendent, so under highway law, he is a highway superintendent who's responsible for the roads and right-of-ways. The town board doesn't even have any statutory authority over the roads for some of those matters.
So you let it trickle down and everybody will know
So we'll work
what
collaboratively
transpired
to
today.
try to address this, yes.
And so then I have a question back to you, since just sitting back here listening, there's been quite a few complaints, and have they not been followed up on? It didn't really sound like they were given a just answer.
As far as the
So
complaints
the
tonight.
complaints that phone calls in to
It
people.
just happened.
Yeah,
That
that
just
happened
happened,
last
not
week.
even last year?
So when
No.
you're saying that this has been going on for 5 years, I can tell
This is
you,
the first we've
I mean,
heard
Oh,
board minutes and
okay.
all, they're all recorded, they're public information. At least I'm speaking for myself, I will not speak for the board members, but I agree with what the comments that were just made. It's the first we're hearing of this. So, I
Okay.
mean, now it's time for us to do our jobs and
Right.
The fill form, the perception is that this particular resident took advantage of the fill form. It is not, in my reading of the form, and I filled them out before for my property. I live in wetlands. I got approval from Army Corps engineer, right? But it's out of the scope of the fill form from my perception, so I'm gonna be tagging our town attorney, but I would like a cease and desist until we understand what the heck is going on. It's ruining our roads, and we've got over 8 people complaining as of this evening.
And honestly, I pulled the information you provided us. He did give us a satellite view, but it's not a current satellite view. Had we had a current satellite view, I think we would have ruled otherwise.
Yeah.
But, so the information he gave us wasn't current.
I don't think he gave us the full story.
What I was thinking of, just sitting back here listening, is I wouldn't be surprised, I mean, I would be part of a human chain just to block those trucks from coming down my street. And, you know, I mean, sometimes it takes well, I don't want to say rioting, but a human chain of just saying, no, you're not gonna come down our street, you're not gonna ruin it. He, like you said, he didn't have a water truck, he didn't have the brush thing to clean up. I mean, that's a whole different
I think
respectful ballgame.
I think we'd rather see other things be done before we put anybody in harm's way. So,
Well, you know, just sitting here, these poor people, and my mind starts, you know, thinking, well, cheapers, you know, it works at this place and human chains work at other places, why not here?
no, I hear you on that. It just, you know, I wish the people were here, you know, that spoke to hear some of this dialogue. But it's hard to hear people living in those conditions as an elected official in the town. And this is really the first that you're hearing from it. It was, a lady decided to call finally and alert, you know, pretty much the board. I mean, I spoke with her, Kelly spoke with her and visited the site. It's, you know, you're limited in government by the law and you have to act within the law. And there's some things you can do to take action right away. There are other things that have to go through a process. And the process has started to review this in greater detail, but I'm shocked that it took 5 years before.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, my husband and I, before we came, it was still daylight, we drove down there to check it out, and it's definitely, there's no way even two small cars could pass each other. It's just a wide, single-lane road. You can see they've gone off into the ditch many times with the size of their tires, and it's, yeah, it doesn't look too cool.
I would agree.
Thank you.
Thank you for the information.
Sue Gentile.
All right, anyone else? Great dialogue, best dialogue we've had in a long time.
I just wanted to mention when Phil was brought, Tracy Hirsch again, when Phil was brought in on that property that we're speaking about, Bill Ferguson told me it had to come from within the town. So that fill that we brought over onto 9009 Boston State Road came from within the town in order for me to bring that fill in.
Good to know.
Those were the terms of that fill permit, just speaking on that. It was not trucked in from out of the area. So, FYI.
Okay. Thank you, sir. All right, I don't see anybody else, so I think we're good. I will close the floor. All right, moving along under new business, item number 2. We have a request from Pamela Zielinski, pronouncing the last name correctly, for the appointment to the Conservation Advisory Council. Councilwoman Norton, would you like to take that item tonight?
Thank you, Supervisor. I had the opportunity to meet Pam Zielinski. She's very enthusiastic with her intentions for the Conservation Advisory Council and has some fresh ideas, been very involved with geocaching from her, while she informed us, gave us a little lesson at our Conservation Advisory Council meeting last week. So I recommend her for, to be a board member for the Conservation Advisory Council.
I'll second.
Second.
Go ahead.
I second, and I love geocaching.
I apologize that I did not put the term on there.
Oh, yes.
That term does go until 3/1/2023.
March 1st, 2023.
Yes.
Thank you.
And Councilwoman Selby?
Yes.
Councilman Cardicchini?
Yes.
Supervisor Keating?
Yes.
Councilwoman Litchfield? Yes. Councilwoman Martin?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, moving along. Item number 3 under new business tonight is a resolution 2021-30, which is the town board seeker determination for the proposed improvements to the Wolf Eater, Crestwood, and Bryce Hill water storage tanks. Councilman Selby, would you mind taking that?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 2021-30 for the town board to have seeker determination for the proposed improvements for Woolhider, Crestwood, and Rice Hill water tanks. This is the first step in the process to get these much-needed repairs done for the water tanks.
I'll second.
Councilwoman Selby?
Yes.
Councilman Cardicini?
Yes.
Supervisor Keating?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lukashit?
Yes.
Councilwoman Martin?
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, we have no old business tonight, so we'll move on to reports and presentations. And Highway Superintendent, you have the floor.
Yeah. Why do they call it the rice to the water tank when it's on Zimmer Road? Just why?
I've always wondered that.
Ask Lisa.
Always wondered.
And just wonder. Other than that, brush pickup started on Monday, and we'll do every road in Boston once. And please, no dirt balls and stumps on the end of the, because it doesn't chip dirt, so no dirt balls, they must be stacked neatly. There's some piles in town that are an absolutely mess, and the guys aren't gonna pick them up, so we're gonna have problems. But, and then we already got people calling that we picked up the road, and they wanna know if we're gonna pick it up again. And I said we won't be back till September. And I explained to them about the general fund paying us to pick up the brush. Would anybody like to clarify that on the record for me, to let people know that it's a general fund charge and the general fund pays the highway department for, anybody want to clarify that?
Sure. So, correct, any brush collection is not a statutory duty of the highway department, and that is a charge to the general fund. There you go.
Correct. So that's what I explained to people, but then my next question would be then, at the last board meeting, why did they transfer money from my highway fund accounts and put it in another highway fund account, when it wasn't the highway fund account that was overcharged, it was a general fund account, A8989-400. That's the brush account, brush and leaves. So they took money out of my road repairs and the winter plowing and all my winter accounts and put it in the DB 5140 account, which is the account that is for mowing shoulders and cutting trees that are on the right-of-way. That account isn't for picking up brush and leaves. That's just for road work right-of-way.
So I think if I could speak,
Go ahead.
I know it's a little bit confusing because you're shortfall because it wasn't funded from the general fund. However, when one highway fund is deficient and to make it whole, you have to take where there's extra money from another.
But it's not that account that's overdrawn. It was the general fund account, A8989, which gets charged for that. It's like, what's the point of even putting money in that account if it doesn't do anything for the highway department? You know that. Right or wrong?
I think what we have to do is look at maybe updating that.
Well, they did it the last 2 years in a row, and it's totally wrong. And I got an opinion from the association of town and the state controller, and it says that it is illegal to take highway money to pay off a general fund account. And 2 years in a row, we've had that problem.
So if it's roadside maintenance, that is a highway charge. Like, for example, the most recent.
No,
charge
picking up brush and leaves.
If I can speak, the most recent charge that went in there was charged under the Boots account. And that took that line item over. That's roadside maintenance, and the town board has the administrative authority to move, we have the final determination on where that money goes. So if that is a valid charge for roadside maintenance, it should be going under the Boots account.
Okay. 2 minutes ago, you just told me that picking up brush and leaves is a general fund charge. You explained that. So now all of a sudden, 2 seconds later, you're changing your story.
Because it's a different function.
No, it isn't. It's a function of picking up brush and leaves. It's the exact same function.
You're clearing the right of way, it's in the right of way.
So why do you pay me anything then? If all the brush and stuff you put out by the road is in the right of way. It's like the garbage, you put it out by the road, but the highway department don't pick it up.
Because brush is being taken off of private property, hauled to the curbside in the right of way. That is why it's charged that way.
That's totally wrong. It's totally wrong. Then why do you even pay us the money to pick up brush and leaves? Why does it get charged? You just told me it gets charged to the general fund charge.
But that, for brush and leaf collection, yes, because leaves come off of private
Okay.
property, but curbside. But if there's a tree within the right of way, and that's considered as highway maintenance, that is
That is correct. If the tree is on the highway right of way and we cut it down, that is correct. We don't charge the 89 account. This is just brush that people put out from their private property and leaves from their private property. It's nothing from the road.
But if a bill comes in, let's say for example from tree care, that is not brush and leaf collection.
That's very well true. That's because the tree come from the road right away. And that's the road right away account, the DB account. The A89 account is the general fund account, which pays us to pick up brush that people bring out to the road. and leaves that people bring out to the road. That's the account that's always overgrown.
I can, you can certainly take a look at the charges and all, but again, if it's a task that is handled to clear the right of way or the line of sight, then those funds would be coming out of the highway fund.
I agree.
You're also correct, where if, Jason Keating rakes his yard or has brush from his property, I haul it to there, that is a general fund charge, because that is collection from that.
I agree, correct. Okay. Other than that, all I have is the role that we talked about that earlier. We gotta get our numbers together and get the contract numbers in, where we can order possibly by the next meeting.
Okay.
And that's all I have.
All right, thank you very much. Councilwoman Sully.
Thank you. I just would like to say that I've been working with Labella, had a meeting this afternoon regarding some drainage issues, again, on Sunset, trying to figure out the source of that. I'm hopeful that we can, again, work with our grant writer to make that drainage plan work for us. On another note, I think we're all probably a little overwhelmed today about this Hillcrest, and I'm really hopeful that we can work together to make a resolution for the citizens up there, the residents. It's just really over the top, and it caught me totally by surprise. I had no idea. So I feel your pain, and I hope we can really do something quickly for you guys. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. Councilman Cardicchini, you have the floor.
Thank you, Supervisor Keating. Had the pleasure to attend the Boston Colden Chiefs meeting last week with Supervisor Keating. It was our first meeting in person in some time, and it was tremendous to get together with everybody and talk about some of the issues. We had a guest from the county who spoke, and it was very informative. That meeting really spread out. None of us have been together for a long time, so it was a pretty lengthy meeting, and the spirit of it was quite good. Also wanted to mention that the sign for the Patchen Fire Company that was approved is installed. It's coming along. It looks great. And I'd like to take a moment to thank the residents that came from Hillcrest. Everybody left when we had some dialogue with a resident, and the thing is that as an elected official, you can only do a certain amount within the scope of the law. But it was very encouraging to see people come forward. It was very disappointing to me that this has gone on for such a long period of time and nobody had brought it to the board's attention except for you. And you took the time to call and engage with Kelly and myself. It is something that it was tremendous to have that many people at one of our board meetings. Typically they're 30 minutes max in and out. But it's also because, we're used to running the town in a good way. So this is the first meeting I've ever had in 3.5 years that people came out and spoke well about the issues that they're facing. And it's hard to hear as somebody in this position that this has occurred for such a long period of time. Rest assured, we will be looking into it and seeing, we have to operate within the scope of the law. I told you that on the phone. One of the most frustrating things in government is you can't just unilaterally make a decision about something, one way or the other. You have to go through the process, and we all know that government can be it takes time to do. But I did want to take the time to thank the people that came out and spoke, very respectfully, expressed things very concisely, and it certainly did not fall on deaf ears. That's all I have tonight.
All right, all set. Councilwoman Lukacek, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. May 6th is the ZBA hearing here in the courtroom in person, and May 11th is a planning board meeting here in the courtroom. Regarding the Hillcrest, it was enlightening to hear all of the individuals that came, and I thank them for their time, and to come here and speak their minds. I work in private company, well, public, anyways. And I'm used to being able to say, time out, hold on, you deceived me by filling out a form, but you didn't give me the whole story, right? And you are, what I heard is you're creating a public safety issue. So I'm asking our sheriff, he's here tonight, if you could look into this, we would be grateful. And I am asking the town board if we can do something about that particular fill form property as soon as possible before a child gets hurt. And I can understand all the dust and all of the issues that come with it, because I'm an industrial hygienist, so I know about dust and I know what it can do over time to a person and an animal. I believe the person filled out the fill form because he anticipated issues from his neighbors, so I have a feeling that he purposely deceived his town government. And I don't like that. That's not why I fill out the form. So, that's all I have to say about that.
All right, thank you. Councilwoman Martin, you have the floor.
First, I'm going to start off with something fun. The Conservation Advisory Council, luckily this year, we're having our youth fishing derby on this Saturday, May, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Unfortunately, it's bring your own snacks and beverages because the whole COVID thing, we can't do our usual hot dog roast like we used to. Social distancing, face coverings, we figured it all out with the anticipated number of children that there will be enough room around the ponds. Prizes for all kinds of crazy, they're trying to come up with some new awards and such, so it should be fun to be had by all. To basically reiterate what Jen and Mike have said, thank you, Sarah, for calling me. Definitely, we don't want, being involved in government, we're always looking out for the best interests of our residents, and we want our quality of life to be happy and equal, and I'm totally floored that it's been going on this long and no one's come forward. I wished it would have happened sooner because I don't think he would have been given this permit. We would have definitely looked into the background a little bit further. And like Jen said, it seems like he took advantage of the way the permit's drawn and the documentation he was required. He definitely did not give us what we needed to make an informed decision. So as a board, this is the first time we've had to deal with something like this, so it may take us just a couple of days, but we're definitely going to address it as soon as we possibly can. We're all going to be working on it, so thank you, and that's all I do have.
All right, thank you very much. Madam Clerk, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Tomorrow, Thursday, May 6th, the Connect Life Blood Drive is in the community room from 2 to 7 p.m. If you would like to donate tomorrow, there may still be availability for that, so log on to connectlife.org to schedule an appointment. And they already mentioned the fishing derby, so we're good there. And on Saturday, May 15th, from 7 a.m. till 2 p.m., St. John the Baptist Roman Catholic Church is having a rummage sale. So, and from what I understand from that is if you would like to reserve a space, the number of the gentleman, his name is Dave, and the number is 941-6189, and leave a message for him. So that should be hopefully a nice outing for anyone who is interested in that. And I just wanted to say, I want to thank everyone that came out tonight. I know it's not in my place, I'm not on the town board, but this is really an important part of how the town works and how important the residents in this town are. I know a lot of you because I collect the taxes, and I'm glad that you came out tonight to be heard. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I just have a couple of things. I wish the fishing derby could be back to what it usually is. I miss the days of conservation, being on the Conservation Advisory Council and anticipating all the kids coming out. So it's a great event, but it's, you know, I think 50 degrees on Saturday, cloudy, so, you know, the fish should be biting. Technically speaking, in fishing terms, so we'll see. Actually, Councilman Cardicchini.
Not always the case.
As I was gonna say, he's a fishing expert, so I'm just gonna, you know, I have to defer to, go over to the subject matter expert there. Yeah, again, the one piece of information, and I guess I will draw some attention to this, is the Erie County Sewer District number 3 correspondence that's in the board packet tonight. There's a lot of work that's being done. You know, from the town of Boston, we're served by that district, and they recently put in a station just down by McKinley, almost 2 years ago now. And but anyway, the main station that's over by the beach, over by the Ford plant, has actually had quite a few upgrades in the past, but needs many more. They're called screws. It's what lifts, I'll just leave it at water. That's what lifts the water up, depending on the level. That's how much it actually pulls up. But the screws have actually broken. The whole infrastructure is sold. They actually are custom creating the veins and that where the screws set up because manufacturers can't either A, create it, or sadly due to the COVID pandemic, there's either a backlog from vendors from the 3 organizations that are out there in the country, or we're not even receiving bids. Actually, I say we, but I sit on that board too. Yeah, but anyway, a lot of information there. We just approved some pretty substantial improvements for that facility. So a lot of this has to meet DEC regulations. So this was we didn't have a lot of decision in this. This was I guess call it a metered or a phased approach. And so that's why a lot of these things are going in. But I wanted to make sure everyone in our community knew that was something that was being worked on. There's a little bit of a blurb at the last board meeting. I caught it out on social media, but I just want to speak to it. At the next town board meeting, the town board is going to be having waste management in to talk to us about, it's called At Your Door service. This is a mechanism that we're looking at right now. There's been some talk about it, and I just wanted to clear the air of any questions or concerns or whatever else might be out there. The At Your Door service is a mechanism that will, or a service that Waste Management will provide that will essentially provide the ability for residents in the town of Boston that are with Waste Management to pick up light bulbs, batteries, household hazardous waste, electronics, e-waste. So instead of signing up for the county events, getting into that block of, let's say, 300 to 400 individuals, then going in, waiting in line for 10, 15 minutes, whatever it is, it's a much better process than what it was in the past. But that 10, 15 minutes, now you're calling an 800 number, scheduling the, if you will, appointment to have a packet sent to your house. You set the date and time based off of your schedule, whatever works best for you, and a box truck from Waste Management will show up at your property, back up to your driveway, and you leave either if you buy a new TV, you leave it at your garage door or the front door of your house, hence the At Your Door service. They haul it away, done. So you're not taking it to Best Buy, you're not taking it somewhere else, you're not paying the, let's say, I don't know average street prices from Best Buy. Last I heard was about $30 to get rid of a TV at Best Buy. But anyway, we'll have, the town board will be hearing about the service, we'll have the pricing for residents, and we'll pass that information along. Like I said, there's been some discussion about this behind the scenes. I will admit it's been behind the scenes because we don't have all the information yet to present. I just wanted to clear the air. I think we have the Hambridge Sun here. I want to kind of clear the air of that. It did hit the Springville Journal last week as well, so there's been some questions again because Boston was named. It's right now the 3 municipalities are looking at kind of kicking this off potentially. Again, no decisions have been made, but the 3 that are working on this is Boston, Colden, and then Holland. Springville is also possibly going to be lumped into that, but that's again what was in Springville Journal's article. Generate some calls, and that's what I have for you. If you Google search or go to YouTube and look at Waste Management At Your Door service, there's a nice little video out there that explains the service, all the different items that can be collected, and at least what I can say right now, I don't have numbers, but for the price point, I think it's a safe, responsible way, environmentally friendly way to collect batteries, light bulbs, and all these other things that we traditionally either A, have to take. Let's say if I change the oil in my snowblower or my lawnmower, I'm taking it down to whoever I bought my oil from, or one of our local shops here in town. Now it can just be collected at my house. It's safe. They provide the labels. It's a really nice system. So more information coming on that, but I just want to kind of clear the air of that tonight. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there this weekend. It's Mother's Day weekend, so happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. And then, again, for all the residents that came out tonight, as Councilman Cardicchini said, it's been 3.5 years that we, a lot of us been on the board, others a little bit shorter, but just our terms are. We haven't had this kind of a response yet since I've been here as a supervisor. I've had that as a councilman a while back. it's good to know that the public's comfortable coming in there, and I'm very happy to even say that, because that's the type of community we try to, represent and work with. So when Councilman Cardicchini and the other board members have made these remarks, yes, we will look into this. There's a lot of lessons learned on the permit process. The permit was something that has existed, it is what it is, for many years. It has not been revised, updated, et cetera.
Until now.
Until now.
Everybody can thank him.
Lessons learned. It will be better. I think everyone that spoke tonight has all of our words on. I'm not going to speak for everybody, that's not who I am. The board knows that, but I will say that this board will, we will look into this and we take this to heart. So thank you for bringing this to our attention. I do wish it was brought to our attention truly earlier, because now, now that we know, something we can act on. And I guess it is what it is. If we lived over there, we might have even experienced that ourselves and saying, hey, what's going on? Councilman Cardicchini did say it best. Again, I don't want to take up too much time, but there are certain things that we can and can't do when it comes to private property, but then there are other entities that we can partner and or work with, such as the Army Corps of Engineers I spoke to earlier, to the New York State DEC, our partners with the Sheriff's Office, state troopers, et cetera, Highway Department. There's a lot of moving parts here, plus we're also dealing with the county road. I can reach out to the commissioner of Erie County Highway and reach out and see what his experience is from his crew chiefs or his superintendents for those respective barns in that area. So kind of a lot of moving pieces. That's where, why when we say it might take a little bit of time, we've got to do some outreach here, bring all the stakeholders to the table and really come up with a solution and fix this problem, because it definitely sounds like a problem. So we'll go from there. My office is always open, and I know all the other board members say the same thing. Please feel free to reach out to us anytime. We're open, we're here for you, so thank you. Without further ado, it's almost 9 o'clock. It's 8:55. I will make a motion at the meeting.
I'll second.
Councilwoman Selby?
Yes.
Councilman Cardicchini?
Yes.
Supervisor Keating?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lukacek?
Yes.
Councilwoman Martin?
Yes.
Motion carried.